Hello again everyone. Okay, so the very good people at Optics Warehouse asked me a question. They said to me, can a sub £600 thermal spotter be used for pest control? So of course I said, let's find out. So they sent me this. This is the Hikmicro, or Hikmicro, however you want to pronounce it, thermal spotter. It is the Lynx Pro LE10, so it's the 10mm lens model, and this is currently for sale at Optics Warehouse for less than £600, currently at the time of me making this video. And not just a couple of quid less than £600, a good price less than £600. So this video isn't going to be about all the specs and what you can do with this or use, how to use this thermal. It's going to be about me and how good it is at sort of pest control and how I got on using it on a few outings for pest control with it. So I took it out a few times. I took it out to my squirrel permission, and I took it out to the golf course to look for some rabbits and so on. So let's take a look at that and let's get straight into the squirrel permission first of all. So this is the first squirrel of the day, and throughout this video you'll have to forgive me a little bit for the shakes and the poor sort of camera and scope cam images, because I'm actually trying to look through the scope camera and through the thermal at the same sort of time. So I'm trying to operate both devices at the same time, and it obviously doesn't work too well. But that squirrel comes off of the tree, and in my haste I've forgotten to hit the record button on the Wulf 4K. But you can quite clearly see the squirrel through the thermal dance across the floor, and in a moment it'll stop there. And right now I'm trying to get him through the crosshairs of my rifle, and I try and get that up, and I've just shot him, and you can see him thrashing around a little bit there. And in just a second you'll basically see that it's motionless and he expires right there. But you can clearly see how good the thermal is. It just shines out so obvious, if you know what I mean. Now this is obviously during the day. This is the morning time. You can see the time on top of the screen there. And here's the next one. Now again, forgive me for the poor sort of camera, but I'm trying to operate the scope cam here and hold the thermal at the same time. So I'll show you the scope cam footage first of all. And he freezes there for a little bit too long. Take the shot, and he'll drop to the base of the tree, and obviously expires there. A couple of shakes. But I'll show you the thermal image of that shot now after this one, and you can see what that looks like through the thermal. Now this feeder is 25 yards away from where I'm shooting, and how clearly is that obvious that you've got a heat source there, even if you're not sure it's a squirrel. As soon as you look through whatever optical device you're using on your rifle, it'll be plainly obvious. But it's a very cold day today, and the image of the trees and so on is quite poor, because everything's really cold, and so there's not a lot of definition in the background, but the squirrel stands out like a torch in the darkness, as you can see. Now he'll come back down the tree as he did, and you'll see we'll take the shot in a moment. Now there's no sound recording on these thermals. You'll see me, I'll manage to get him in the camera, take the shot, and there he goes, drops to the base of the tree and expires there. And you can quite clearly see, obviously there's the heat source of him at the base of the tree there, and in just a second you'll see the first one that I shot as well, still shining quite brightly with the heat there. So there's both of those squirrels so far. So this squirrel I noticed to the far top left of me, so I got the thermal on him as he makes his way to the feeder tree. So you can quite clearly see that's a squirrel there, and at the moment I think he's probably just under 20 yards away as he bounces his way over to the feeder tree. And what I'll do here is I'll split the screen so you can see both pictures and see what that looks like. Again, it's quite difficult. I'm actually trying to hold the thermal in one hand, steadying the rifle, and look through the rifle scope at the same time. But there's a squirrel, goes up the tree, and you'll see it on the thermal in just a moment when I manage to get it in. There you go. You can see the thermal picture of him and in there. Take the shot. Down he goes. So even in the daytime, the thermal is such a good device. In amongst all these trees and bracken and everything there, you pick up a squirrel so much easier than you can with your eyes. Now this squirrel is quite close. It's probably 15-16 yards away, something like that. And it bounces around on the floor. There's a lot of cover on the floor, but he shines out really brightly, as you can see there. And in a minute I'll get the rifle on him. You can see it swing around there, and I'll switch the scope on and get him into view. But if you've got a ratting permission or something like that, this device would be amazing for rats and stuff, because this is about, like I say, 15-16 yards away. You'll see him in a minute. I'll pick him up on the scope cam. There he is, and I'll try and get him in view on the thermal at the same time. Now he has a little jump around in a munch, and we'll keep him in view. But if it was darkness, you can just see how brightly he shines away, even in the daylight like that. The thermal, ready for the shot. There you go. That was a good headshot. So usual thing, his nerves are firing away uncontrollable now. As he bounces away, you can see the heat source from all the blood that's come out there next to him. And eventually he just settles down there, and that's another one in the bag. So here's a little bit of footage that I took of some squirrels that didn't make it over to the feeder. But again, it's a good bit of footage. You can see how good the device is. And I'm guessing these squirrels, I think they were maybe, well, the closest one that you can see at the top of the screen there is about 30 yards away maybe. And as I come down, you can quite obviously see towards the lower of the screen, there's another heat source there. Now these squirrels are extremely difficult to see in amongst all the branches and the leaves and everything else, but with the thermal they just shine through like I said, like a torch in the darkness. And you'll see that bottom one move away now. There he goes. Quite clearly you can see that there's two heat sources there, and quite obviously there's squirrels in the trees. So it just shows how good this device really is. And again, here's another little bit of recording I did. So that is my feeder tree. That's 25 yards away. And the brightest source you can see there is actually a woodpecker. And those other little heat sources flying around, they're just little sparrows, tiny little sparrows and robins. And you can see that this device can even pick up those at 25 yards. So just imagine how good it would be if you were ratting in a farmyard or something like that. It's at 20 yards or less, and rats being even bigger than those sparrows that you can see there, because those sparrows light up really well. So Thermal is an absolute game changer if you're a pest controller. Absolute game changer if you haven't got one. So I decided to do my usual pickup video with the thermal device. So here we go. Here's my hide that you would normally see if you see my other videos. There's the rifle. That is a FX Dreamline in a Saber Tacktical chassis and a Wulf 4K scope on the top. There's my flask and my bag under my tripod and my seat. And away down there is the feeder. So I'm walking toward the feeder, and I must say that the recording that you're looking at here is nothing at all as good as the image quality through the device on the screen on the device itself. So here's one of the squirrels that we've shot, walked up to there, and I'll walk up to a couple more now. But yes, the actual recording is pretty good, as you're seeing on the screen here, but it's much, I can't stress how much better it is actually looking through the device. It is probably 20-25% clearer through the device than what you're actually looking at on the screen here. So there's a couple of squirrels at the base of the tree. On my way to do my pickup, I'll show you the feeder. That's my feeder there, and then we'll just take a look back at the at my hide. So there's my hide 25 yards away. And a quick scan around the woods. And like I say, the definition on this particular day, it was like -4, -5 degrees Celsius. And had been all week. So all the trees and everything could basically all just cold. So the definition's nowhere near as good, probably, as you would normally see through this device. But there we go, that's the pickup done for this session. Now I did try going out on a couple of rabbit sessions as well, and this is the golf course that you're looking at here. Now I went out nice and early, it's just after 5, already pitch black in the UK at this time. The golf course had been closed because we've had so much rain, it was absolutely saturated. But all I saw was dog walkers, like that fella there. Now, I think he was around 100 yards away, and you could see him quite clearly. And here you go. This was the other thing I had all evening. This is a jogger in the pitch black. He's actually got an awesome head torch on. It shone really brightly. He had no idea that I was here, but he kept running circuits around the golf course on the tarmac track. So no wonder I didn't see any rabbits, but it was probably too cold and too early anyway. But I've got some good bits of video coming up that I've recorded through the thermal device, and you can just see how good this is with him running around the golf course there. Now this fella, he's walking on the hillside right the way across the other side of the golf course, and after he'd gone I did get my my rifle out, and I've put a picture-in-picture there, and I got the rangefinder out. Now I don't remember exactly where it was, but I think the trees in front of them there, they were about 250-300 yards, and the actual dog walker on the hillside, I think he was a good 400 or 500 yards away perhaps. So you can see how good this device is, even for a budget device, dare I say. It's an amazing bit of kit, absolute amazing bit of kit. Bear in mind this is absolute pitch darkness. Now again, here's another dog walker's dog, and again I get the rifle out afterwards to have a look how far it is. And at the moment I'm just scanning through the colour palettes of the device. So this is now black hot. There's the rainbow fusion, as they call it, their effect. And this was about 280 yards, I think, if you look at the me rangefinder it in the top right hand corner after they'd gone. So there's the dog going behind the trees, and the dog walker had already walked on by. But how good are these thermal devices? Now later on I spot this heat source here. Now the dog walker and so on is long gone. This is a little bit further around the golf course from where he was. And just take a good look at that tree right in the foreground there, because I'm going to stalk right up to that tree and have a look, see if we can see what it is. So here I am, and you'll see that the tree is there on my left hand side, and I did get the rifle out afterwards, but unfortunately I spooked him trying to get my rifle out and so on, and it disappeared. But he was 80 or 90 yards I think it was, and originally it was a good 200, 250 yards plus, and I've stalked right up to where that tree was, and I'm just scanning around with the thermal, but you can see I got the rifle out afterwards, and that's about 80 or 90 yards if I remember rightly, and it's quite obviously a deer there, and it's pitch black, like I say. It's no idea out there till I try and get my rifle out. Now I took this bit of video out the back of back garden of my house, and that's 4 pigeons on the roof 36 yards away. That was 2 starlings up in the tree about 55 yards away. There's another pigeon, again about 35 yards. Seagull flies by. There's a tiny little sparrow just below the pigeon. You can see that heat source quite clearly there. Pigeon and sparrow. But just look how brightly they show up. This is daytime. It's a very cloudy, again fairly cold day. There's a seagull going by. And amazingly, that is the sunshine, or the sun, at the back of the clouds, the heat source there. But look at those pigeons. At 36 yards, they show up so well, and that one at 35 yards. There he goes. Just shows you how good this device is. Okay everybody, so what do you think of this little device? For me, I think the answer to the question from Optics Warehouse, can it be used for pest control, is a resounding yes. I was quite amazed, to be honest, how good a little thermal it was for the price. And that is the deciding sort of factor here. If your budget only runs up to maybe £600 for a thermal device, then I would wholeheartedly recommend one of these. It's a brilliant little device. So if you want to know any more about the device, all the stats, weights, measures, all the ins and outs, bits and pieces, head over to the Optics Warehouse website. All the information, everything's there. Or indeed give them a call. They're lovely people. They'll be willing to answer any of your questions about it and so on. But yeah, it's a great little device. I think it worked really well. For the money, although £600 isn't an inconsiderable amount of money, it's quite a lot of money, certainly for the likes of me, but in thermal imaging circles, if you like, it's a very very cheap, dare I say, budget device, and yeah, it's absolutely excellent. I got on with it really well. It performed perfectly, and I was really happy to use it. So yeah, so I'd like to say thanks to Optics Warehouse for giving me the opportunity for trying, even playing with the little device, and I'm hoping maybe to do a review on it, of how you would use it and so on, and how I got on with it and how it felt for me using in the field during pest control and so on. So that'll be a good little video to look out for. But spoiler alert, if I do that one, it's a really, really good device. For less than £600, you can't, dare I say, go wrong with it. So, hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up. If you've managed to stay to the very end of this video, well, congratulations, and a thumbs up to you guys for doing that. Click on the subscribe button, all the usual things for me, please. Any comments you have on it, I'll see if I can answer any of them. Put them in the usual bits below, I'll get to them if I can. If not, like I say, you can always pop over to the Optics Warehouse website, where all the information on these, and indeed all the Hikmicro thermal devices and so on are, and you can probably get all your answers you would need from them there. So Thanks very much again for watching one of my videos. Keep safe, be safe, and hopefully I'll see you all again soon.